in the Edureka, like we have a couple of webinars. So you can just have this link where you can just go with the webinar. So over the Edureka side, if you just hit on the webinar option, you will get a different webinar, the upcoming webinar. So you can just register for those webinars, and you can just have the lookout that what exactly the webinar is or what the topics are, and you can just get some reliable knowledge with that. Also, we provide a couple of master classes and the training for the React. We have a React certification training program under which there are numerous topics are there which we can which where you can just have the hands on with the topic. So like when it comes to the react.js, when it comes to the Azure certification training program, we have the different features with us. When it comes to the certification program, we have a react.js certification program under which there are the numerous topics from basics to advanced are being explained. So all the sessions are live, and the doubts are clearing support is 24/7. For every completion of successful completion of certification, like every successful completion of certification training, you will provide or we provide a Azure certification. Also, we have hands-on assignments, projects, okay, and many more things are there, like with respect to the part. So you can just register for the upcoming webinars, for the upcoming certification program, and the name is react.js certification training program. Okay, yeah. So my audio is clear. Just give me a. Yeah. So you can just register for live webinars. You can just register for the live certification training programs. And over the ways, like you will have a specific path to learn that. So every particular webinar is a 10, like it moves with respect to the 10 milestones or the 10, like we have a 10 sessions with every particular certification training program. So for every particular point, like at the very first, we are going to go with the webinar, that is the web development in React. So it's an introduction regarding the web development. Then for the next, you will have some hands-on exercise on this. Once you complete the exercise, the second way session will be regarding the components and stylings for an application. So where we will where the candidate learns that how exactly the stylings and layouts are being designed in the React. Okay, so after every particular session, there is a hands-on exercise which the candidate need to complete in the given specific period of time. So in the same way, like for the session 3, we have a handling navigations with the routings, where we learn that how to create multiple pages and how to add the routings with it. For the data management and for the process handling, the next, that is the fourth session, consists of the React state management with the Redux. The fifth consists of like how we can just make the asynchronous programming with the Saga, that is calling a data or API from the server. Then the next is going to be like, say, the sixth session is related to the asynchronous programming with the Saga. So here, the both sessions are having the hands-on exercise with the Saga and calling an API from the server, that is server API, where the API is consumed on the React application and then it is been managed and maintained with it. The seventh session comes with the GraphQL, which is the one of the way how by creating the client queries to fetch the data and manipulate the data over the React. Then the next is like how to make the testing and the deployment of the application. Then on the ninth session, there is an introduction with the React Native, and the last session is building a React Native application, that is the mobile application. So when it comes to React can be used for the two parts, like a web development and also for the mobile development. So this entire course consists of entire part from, like say, from the basic to the pro. So at the end, the candidate will have all the necessary knowledge regarding developing the web application, styling the web application, making the asynchronous call in the web application, testing the web application, creating a mobile application and also deploying the application, creating a mobile application and handling that mobile functionalities like a pro with the help of React Native. Now let's move towards the point that what is meant by conditional rendering. So whenever we want to make some decisions, let's say that we have created one login and logout operations, and just we want to detect that whether the user is login or logout. So if the user is login, we need to provide a login details or login page, that is a dashboard. If the user is not login, in that case, we need to navigate or we need to show the different kind of page, that is a login page for the user. Or let's say the user wants to move towards a uh, like like forget password, then in that case we need to provide the details for that. But in this particular use case, the most important thing is regarding the rendering. So in the React.js, we have a rendering. In the React.js, we have a rendering, that is a conditional rendering. And with the conditional rendering, we can make a decision that which type of UI need to be get allowed to the candidate or to the client on the login and logout, or you can just use any other rendering logic. Okay, you can take an example like if you are having a cart. Okay, if you are adding a product in cart, so if the cart is available, need to show the tables. If the cart is not available, just we need to show the text that is cart is not available or it's empty. So basically a condition rendering plays a very important role in the React development application. So in React.js, you can just create a distinct component that encapsulates behavior you need. So one component can have two different phases. So even though if you just create one component, it can have a two UIs. Okay, one can be a positive one, second can be a second, that is a else one. So so if you just take an example of like an exam, if you just pass, okay, if you have a grade greater than 50%, then obviously you will be going to be passed. So here for the exam result, a condition is that you must have a result greater than or equals to 50. So if it is greater than 50, obviously you are passed. If it is less than 50, then you are failed. So it's a normal, it's a common logic like if else functionalities. Okay, so if else conditional statements in the JavaScript. So in the similar way, in the React.js application also, we can make a conditional rendering. And the conditional rendering can be done by using the four ways. One is called as a if else statement. Second is called as a element variables. Third is called as a ternary operators. And fourth is called as a short circuit. So now to demonstrate this code, I have created a brand new project in my laptop, and the project is live. So you can just see that it's just saying that welcome to this. Okay. So let's say that this is my page, and what I want to make that if the user is login, I just want to show this particular welcome page of one. And here I will just say like welcome to React application. So I will just change this edit src text, okay, from the React application. So the file is available under the source folder. So I will just go to the app.js. In the app.js, I will create, or in the src folder, I will create two components. So for that, I will create a folder called as a component. And inside the component, just I will create like say welcome. Let's say welcome. Yeah. So let's wait for a minute. Now, before that, we will just create a conditional logic over here itself. So let's say that we want to create a condition in such a way that if if a user is login, if user is login, okay, we need to show React home page. Else, we just need to show a button of login. Okay, we need to show a button for the login. So here, let's understand this. So for that, we will create or we will use a state inside the React. So here I will just use a state that is if. So I will just create a state. Now the state will be like say login. So here I will create a state by using a hook of React called as a use state. And in the use state, we will just use a condition as a false, which will be get returned to a variable where we will use where we will use where we will use a destructuring concept because the use state will return an array. So this array will consist of a value that the value will be like say is login, and the second will be a function. So I will just use state login. State is login. This is going to be a conditional. This is going to be a state which we are going to use it over here. Now, depending on the condition, like if I can just use a if else condition. So we can just use a normal if else condition for rendering a same rendering a different UI in the same component. So here I can just use a if condition that if is login is there, just we need to return this particular conditional state. If it is not there, then we will just say else. And in else, I will just return a button. So it will have a button. Just I will change the language mode from JavaScript to React JavaScript. So let's use the button over here. So I will just create a button like say login. So I will just say please log in. Click to login, or yeah, I will just use please log. Okay. Now, as we know that the condition is false, definitely we must get a button like please log in. Okay. But let's say that on click of this button, if I update the state from true to false, then we must get a welcome page of this one. And here I will just change the text in the paragraph like say welcome to react.js. Welcome to React. So on click of this button, I just want to make, or I just want to update the state. So how we are going to do that one? Let's understand it. So here for that, we will have a button and I just need to create an event for it. So we will create a function inside a React that is like make login, and it will be an arrow function. A function which will update the current login. So here I will just say that when this function will be get called, I just want to update whatever the login value is. So here I just want to set a value as a true. And now the function which we have created, just we will call that function on the click of the button. So for that I will use an event that is on click. So in React we have an on click event where we need to pass a definition of a function. Now the magical thing is that if I just click on this login button, I must get welcome to login, and you will see that it's there. You will see that it's there. Okay. So again, if I refresh the page, as on the page load, we will have the state will be false. It will ask for the login. So if I click on the login, you will see the state has been changed and we have rendered the content. So here one thing is very important, that like a normal JavaScript logic, we can just use a rendering one. Like a normal JavaScript logic, we can just use if else condition, and we can use two return logic, or we can just use a return statement inside the if condition or in the else condition. So depending on the situation, the specific method, the specific render, the specific JSX code will run under the return keyword. Okay. So now let's say that on click, I just want to create one more button. So after the login, I just want to create one more button. So now instead of having this anchor element, we will just have a button. So I will just say that there will be a button. So we'll have button over here also, and I will just close that one with the button. Okay, I will remove this href link, no need of it. And just I will say log out. So on click of log out, just I want that the user must be get log out. So we will have this button with us, and you will see we have a log out button. So just I will remove the styling of it. So let's remove styling. And you will be able to see that we will have that plain login button, logout button. So if I click on this logout button, again, I just need to make the state as a false. So for which again, we will create one more method like say make logout, like say logout. And this logout will have again the same method, that is the set is login as a false. And on click of this button, that is on click of the login button, I just want to make a call for this function. So I will use an on click. And in this on click, we will just have the logout. So now as soon as I click on logout, you will see as per the condition changes, the UI updates. So we can make a logout and login by using the if else condition. This is one of the way to add the conditional rendering, a rendering way inside the react.js. So the very first way which we have seen, that is the if else. Now the if else statement is something which will be get executed with the action content in the if block, and when the condition is satisfied. Okay, so when the condition gets satisfied, at that time the content we will get, that is the true block content. Otherwise it will execute the action content inside the else block, and in the same way it is happening. So as we are clicking on the login button, the condition is going true. If I'm making a logout button, the condition will be false. So the syntax is something like this. We have a if, inside the if we use a return statement, and then if we have a else, then we can just use a return statement. Okay, this is the one of the way which we can just do the way. Okay, so this is one of the way which we can make it over here. The second way which we have, that is the element variables. In this element variables, we simply use a JSX code which we assign to a variable. So let's say that if I'm having a JSX code and I assign it to the variable, and we just make that variable as operations over here. So how it works, let's understand it. So here we will create two variables. Now instead of rendering this particular div inside this return method, I will just create a variable like say late, like say I will just say like say user logged, user is login, and to this I will just provide a backtick where I will have this specific code with. Okay, and the next will be like we will have one more variable which will have the logout operation. So let's use that. I will just say let, like say user is logout, and for the logout we will have this particular expressions. So instead of backtick, because I will not use a backtick over here. Yeah, so let's save this both of them. Now as we are going to return, instead of using two return statements, we will use only one return statement. Okay, we will use only one return statement, and that return statement will be like we will have the statement 1 and statement 2 to the variable. So I will declare one variable on the very top, like say UI, late UI, and the UI by default I will just set it as a none. And this rendering the UI I will just return to this variable UI. Okay, so now we just have one return statement, and with respect to this if else, we are going to set a variables over here. So if the user is login, we will just say that if the user is login, we will just pass that statement over here. So I will just say that UI need to be this one, else UI need to be logout UI. So just we want that any one of them. And now if I save this and if I try to run it, you will see that currently if I refresh the page, you will see that it will just say login. If I click on it, it works. So what it means? It means that we can just store a JSX expression. We can just store a JSX expression in a variable, and after a certain condition, we can specify that which JSX expression is going to be get run. And at the end, we will have only one return value. So depending on the condition that if the user is log in or if the user is log out, we will have a simple conditional logic. So if the user is log in, whatever the value we will have in will is login will be get assigned to the UI. And if I just want to make it like say log out, I will just use the else condition. So this is the second way how we can make a conditional logic. So just I will make a control Z, and because we just need to make a summary. So just I will copy the file and then we will move forward. Okay, and this is the second way that is called as a variable. So we have defined a JSX expression in a variable, and depending on the conditions, a specific JSX expression will be get handled. So we have these statements where the UI will be get changed as per the conditions. A UI will be get changed as per the condition. Okay, yeah, and it works perfectly. So let's make a copy of this one. Let's make a copy. Now the third way of the rendering which we have. Okay, so let's make a summarization. So in the variables, we declare a variable, and depending on the statement, we just pass. If it is true, we use a variable statement as true. If it is false, we use a variable statement as false. Now the third type of rendering which we have, conditional rendering, is ternary operator. Now ternary operator is something which is a different part. Like it is a if else condition only, but it is a bit different. So a ternary operator is like a if else condition only, and it's a JavaScript part. So in the ternary operator, we technically use. Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. So in ternary operator, we have a condition, and according to that condition, we decide that which condition need to be get satisfied. Now, when it comes to a return statement, when it comes to a return statement, in the return, instead of using this if else condition because it makes a decoration, unwanted decoration. So what we can do for that, the simplest way which we can do, that is, instead of declaring the variable, we can use a condition over here. So for that, I will use a curly bracket where we can specify the condition that what exactly the user is. So if the user is login, we can define the condition like this. That what is the condition? If the user is login, so if it is equals to true, okay, if it is equals to true, we will render a div, this specific div over here. And let's paste it. Else, we will use a colon, that is the condition which we'll have. So we will use a colon, and after the colon, we will just say that we will have this code of button. And now there is no need of declaring the variables for it. So let's add a JSX expression. Let's bind it with the JSX expression. Okay, and let's use a curly bracket over. Let's say. So now, depending on the condition, you will see that if I refresh the page, I will have a page that is the login. If I make a click, the same logic will work. So in React to make the conditional rendering, there are different ways out there. Okay, the first way which we have seen, that was the first way we have, that is called as a if else statement, where we use two different return keywords. The second one which we have seen, that is called the if else statement only, but the code or the JSX code is stored in the variable. And then depending on the condition, we are actually assigning the UI to a variable. And the third type of rendering we have seen, which is done inside the render method, which is one of the suggested one for me also. That is, you must use. So you must use the login operations. So So you must use a ternary operator. And that actually works perfectly. So depending on the situation, it will work perfect. Now the good thing is that, like if I'm having a component, like say user login page, okay, .js, and for this, if I create a component called as a user login page, we can make a component also to get rendered. So we can render two different component on the conditional way. That is something which is a great logic. So here I will create one component which by using the functional component, and whatever the code we are having, whatever the code we are having in this div, I will just pass that in this particular return keyword. Let's pass it in the return. Okay, and then I will just export this component. So to export the component, I will just export default, and then I will just use a component name. So once it is exported, then we can just use a component in the child element, sorry, in the parent element. So here, instead of rendering a HTML code, we will just use, or we will just call the component. So you will see that on the very top, we have imported the component and we are having that one over. Okay. Now you will say that Deepak, we are not knowing the things. Yes, I'm audible, guys. Just give me a call. My voice is clear. I'm audible. Yes, I'm audible. Yes, I'm audible. Just message me if I'm audible. Okay, that's great. So now you'll ask me that Deepak, like we are not aware of this component and calling the component in this. So don't worry. We are incredibly pleased to inform you that we have a special discount of 20% on all the trending course. So inside the webinars, you will have all the trending courses. Sorry, on the web page, you can just see your trending courses. So if you just register for the trending courses, amongst which we have a React certification training program, you will just get a flat 20% off for a discount on that courses. So you just need to make it available, and the offer is only for the candidate who are registered for this webinar. So if you have registered, or as you are registered for the webinar, the discount only gets applicable to you, and that is something which is one of the great thing which Ejureka have bring to you. So you just need to use a coupon code, that is the webinar 20, at the time of registration or enrolling for the course. So just use a coupon code, that is webinar 20. So it will be webinar will be in text and 20 is a number. So just use that one, and you can just enroll for the webinar. So we have a React.js certification training program where the entire details are being discussed in the very detailed manner. So you can just search for the webinar, and as per the webinar, you can just enroll for it. Just use a coupon code to avail of 20% of discount for the specific course. Yeah, so let's come to the point. Now you can just see that we have this particular user login, and if I just save this one, and if I refresh the page, it gives me an error. The error is log is not defined and logout is not defined. So obviously we will get those errors. The reason is that this log need to be called over here. Okay. So only the thing is that it need to be called by using the two dots. Okay, instead of one dot. And the second error you may get, or you may face, that is the error is like say, logout is not found, because we have this logout option, okay, as a parameter. So in this component, so I will just pass it as a as a props, and once we pass it as a props, we can collect these props inside our component. We can collect this prop inside our component in the function call. Here I will just say that props props.log props.logout. So if I refresh the page, And if I just open the component, you will see that it just works perfectly. Yeah. So this is something what we can just do with the conditional rendering logic by using the ternary operator. So basically, what is a ternary operator? Ternary operator gives a way to handle the if-else condition in the minimal code. So you just need to you don't need to write many things. The conditional statement have a minimal line of code. When it comes to the ternary operator. So as we are having the ternary operator, the condition code gets minimized. And you can see that this is something which is a very precise way. That creating a component and calling a component over here. There's something which is a very really important way. Okay. Yeah. Now there's a short circuit operation is there inside the there's a short circuit operation is there inside the react.js. So what is a short circuit? So in short circuit we can use a conditional statement like and condition. So we will have a condition, and depending on the condition, the logic will work. So that is what we will have with us. So the question is that how to do that shift. So let's understand. So here I will just modify the login code, something like this. So I will say that if, so here I will just use it something like this. Okay. Now instead of using this entire curly bracket, I will remove everything first, and then we will try to understand that how it works. Okay. So here I will use a condition logic like this. So I will just say that is live must be there, and the condition will be get rendered. So the component will be get rendered. Else we will just say that if is login, it's equals to false. So just I will say negation of logic, and after that we will just use this curly bracket. So now if I say this, you will see that we have okay. So here you will see that if I just make a logout, it just works fine. Okay. So even though if I'm using a short circuit means what will happen, guys? If this condition is true, then only it will run the second condition. Okay. If the condition is false, then it will not render the second position. So this is something what we have with us. Okay. This is what something which we have with us. So here we can just make the conditional operations for you. Okay. So these are the common three ways which we just use. Okay. So this is the common way to implement the rendering logic. Okay. Yeah. So I hope so everyone is very clear till here. Okay. So the conditional logic is one of the most important fact in the development. It's very, very important. Okay. It's nearly an important one. So now we are going to move towards the next part. So if you want to enroll for the course, guys, please go for the registration of the course. And at the time of registration, just use a coupon code that is webinar 20. You will get flat 20% off on the course itself. Okay. That is something which I will suggest you. Yeah. So now the next which we are going to have. So here we have just seen the conditional. Now let's see the short circuit. Sorry, here we have just seen the short circuit. So in short circuit, we have a logical operator. And after the logical operator is, if the expression is true, then the statement will get executed. If the statement which is too below, okay, it will get disapproved, or you can just say it's just rejected. Okay, yeah. Now let's say that sometime what happens, there might be the possibility that I don't want to render a logic. Let's say this is also one of the components. Okay. So sometimes the situation occurs, just I'll make a copy of this. So I think so the copy is made, right? Yeah. The copy is made um, of the short circuit, I think so though. Yeah. So I will just make a copy. Now, sometimes it happens that we don't need to render a component. But instead of this if, I just want to use a ternary operator. So I will just say something like this. If it is there, just render it. Else I will say render a null. Render a null. So null will prevent re-rendering of the component. What render will do? Render will prevent, no, sorry, what the null will do? Null will prevent to re-render the component. So here, as we are passing null, the component will not get re-rendered. That is something which is a mechanism available with the react.js. Okay. So after the short circuit, we have like say preventing rendering or preventing component from the rendering. So in that case, we can just use in that case we can just use a null to prevent that one from the rendering. So here you can just see that we have a return as a null for the conditional logic. We are the prevent of or where the rendering will get prevented. Okay. And this is something how we can just implement the things inside the React.js. So in the Azureka, like we have the Azureka LMS where you can just have all the courses. So let me walk through to the LMS also that how the LMS looks like. Okay, now basically the LMS is the learning management system where it's a learning management system. So just I will make a login to it. So it's a learning management system where a user will have all the courses available with him or her. So you can just check the courses. The most awaited thing is that like whenever you enroll for the course, so let's say that you have enrolled for the React.js certification course, okay, a certification training program, you will get a 10 sessions over here. Okay, every session will be of 3 hours. The duration is been stated with it, and you can just go with that courses over here. So if I just go to the course, this is something how the LMS looks like. So at the left side, you can just see that we have a recordings with us, and this recording is available lifetime. So once you enroll for the course, the recordings are permanently available, and these recordings are not pre-created or pre-available. They are actually the recordings of the live sessions. So after the completion of live session, if you feel that no, I just want to see some videos, you can just go for this recordings. You can just go for the recording. Also, under the course content, we have presentations, like we will have a presentation for each. And for every particular module, the assignment is given. Every assignment is having a deadline. So you need to complete that within that deadline, which is being given. And also you can just see the class recording under that recordings only. And for each of the one, we have the presentations. So the presentation is also available at the client side. That is the candidate side. So you will see for every component, we have a separate assignment. And also we have a quiz of competition. So we have the quiz competition over. So you can just enroll for the course. Once you enroll for the course, you will get all the details of it. Now, don't worry, if you don't know the React.js much more, you can just go with the prerequisite. Prerequisites are like learning the React.js, HTML, CSS, and React.js. So, sorry, and the JavaScript. So, to enroll for the React.js certification training program, you are having an option. Okay, before that, the React certification training, you have an option which is called the pre. That is a prerequisite. So these are the requirement like HTML, CSS. Okay, so this is something what the Eureka comes into the picture. So I will request you that if you just go for the course, because it is something which is very very precisely designed for the peoples. Also, like say as per the cost scenario, you can just see that the cost is very minimal in the Eureka course. Okay, so the cost is like say a cost is bit minimal from other courses one. Okay, not I'm saying very low, but like it's a bit low from the others one, and that's why I will just suggest you to just go for this enrollment for the course. So you can enroll for the course, okay, and just earn 20% discount. Okay, so the webinar is like say webinar 20, and like that is the something which we will have that. Okay, so you can just enroll for this course. Okay, so once you enroll for the course, the many more things are going to be there. Okay, with respect to the part. Yeah, so this is how the conditional rendering happens in the react.js, and these are the different approaches with it. Now let's go with a quick summary regarding the topic, whatever we have learned. So we have seen that there is a conditional rendering is there which we can implement, and the conditional renderings are of different ways. The first way is by using a if statement. Inside the if statement, we will have a return keyword. So for if, there will be one return, and for else, we have a second return. And depending on the situation of the state, as the state changes, the component gets re-rendered. That's why that's why the both of them are having separate one. Okay. Then the next that is second type we have seen, that is called as a variable based rendering. Okay, where we have stored the JSX code inside the variable, and depending on the condition, we are just updating that code. That specific code. So if the condition is true, obviously we will get a user is login. If it is false, then in UI, if it is false, then in UI you will get a button. That is a conditional button. Okay. Yeah. So the next, that is the third type we have seen. The third type of rendering we have seen, that is a ternary operator rendering, where we have learned one more thing, that we can add a conditions. Inside the condition, we can add a component also. So depending on the situation, the component really renders, and that is something which is the important part. Okay. So here we can just create some component. Okay. So like logout, I will have a logout component. So we can just create a logout component. Okay. So that is logout. Yeah. So here we can make that conditional logic over here. So we have this component like say, yeah. So here we will just create one more component like say logout. So let's create that logout over here. And in this logout, I will just use L as capital. Yeah. So just I will rename this file with a logout. And let's move it inside the component. Yeah. So let's create a logout component. So freshly, I will just create that one. I will just say logout, where we will have this one. As I'm using a component, its name must start with a capital letter. A capital letter. Yeah. So just I will say return, and the code which we have written in app.js, just I will use that. Yeah. I'm so sorry, just something went wrong on my keyboard. Yeah. So let's say that I'm having a conditional over here, okay, and let's get that one. So you can see that we have this button, right? A button, and let's make it Control Z. Let's make it Control Y. So here, instead of null, we can pass one more component. Like my component name is logout. So let's pass with it. And remember, the component name always must start with a capital letter. Okay, so here I will just use capital. In file it doesn't matter, but here inside the component it matters. So I will just say that I will have a logout. So I will just say logout. Just I will just say export. Okay. So we have a export default, and just I will use logout. Okay. So now we have this particular one, and here just we will add that conditional logic, which we have passed it over here. The one which we have it right now with us. Okay. And here in the app.js, wherever we have this null, I will just reuse that component, that is logout component. Okay, so let's save it, but we will get an error. Okay, there might be an error. So let's figure out that how we can just handle it. Yeah. So we have this one with us. Let's save the file. So let's remove the semicolon. Let's save the file. Yeah, so we have just imported it. Let's import the login. Yeah, it has been imported. So why we are getting error? Let's try it one more time. Yeah, so we have this conditional rendering. So you can see that now it again renders perfectly. So it will just say that logout not found, and it happens. Why? Because again we need to make a logout operation. Okay, like we have a user logout, so we need to make a login operation. Yeah. So this is the way, guys, how you can just make a conditional rendering logic. I hope so. The experiments which we have done is satisfying for you. So you can just enroll for the course. Okay, that is a react.js certification training program, which is goes for 30 hours of course, and everything is been like say a live sessions. So there will be the hands-on assignments are going to be there. You will have a couple of tasks which you need to complete. So it starts from a scratch till the advanced level. So after the end of the course, definitely you will be eligible to go for or crack an interview in the React.js. And also the training programs consist of multiple modules. So yeah, even the module is not being covered, it will be get covered in the next session or upcoming sessions. And that is something what the Edureka has with it. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can just ask. Yes, anybody has a question? So yeah, you can just enroll for the course, kindly enroll for the course, and just use webinar 20, a coupon, so that you will get a 20% discount on every training. Yeah. So any question, any query? Okay, fine. That is something which is a great. So I will request to go and enroll for the course if you really want, if you really think that it's bit simplest way, because in the current market we have a number of openings for the React.js. So there's a huge job openings are there for the React.js. And this react.js certification training program can help you to achieve your dream job goal or to achieve the knowledgeable logic which you want to earn it over here. So just use a coupon code that is called the webinar 20. You can also call on the given numbers. For in India, we have a number like 96060584006. For US, we have a number that is 18000 sorry, 1833 So you can just enroll for the course and make sure that you are enrolled for the course of React.js certification training program with 20% discount by using the coupon code. So don't miss the coupon code after the registration. So over this, just I will stop the part, and thank you so much for joining the webinar. Thanks a lot.